Hi guys, it's SBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now of course the Samsung Galaxy S10 range was launched just a few weeks ago, so of course the burning question on a lot of people's lips is, how does the latest version of one of Android's most popular ranges compare to the latest and greatest from Apple? So in this video we're going to be covering it all: Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus versus the iPhone XS Max. And some things in this comparison review might just surprise you. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Right, so in today's comparison review we have of course the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus versus the iPhone XS Max. Both are of course considered premium flagships, and in some areas we have similarities, but in other areas they are completely different. Right, so firstly you've got to know that Firstly, you've got to note that the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is a generation on 2019 flagship versus 2018 flagship on the iPhone XS Max. Even though they were only released 6 months apart, February to February usually for Samsung, and of course September to September for the iPhone. Right, so first we're going to talk design and build quality. So in terms of build, on the iPhone XS Max we have that sandwich of glass and stainless steel, whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus we have glass and aluminium, or we have ceramic on the back if you go for the larger storage and more expensive option. Both feel incredibly premium. If I hold it up to the camera you can see that they are basically, in terms of form factor, the same size. In terms of height, also in terms of thickness, they are roughly about the same, but the Galaxy S10 Plus is a lot narrower. On the iPhone XS Max we have the notch, whereas on the Galaxy S10 Plus we have the dual camera punch hole cutout. Flat screen on the iPhone XS Max, curved infinity display on the S10 Plus. Now I personally prefer an infinity display to a flat display, and I think I probably prefer the punch hole cutout to the standard notch on the iPhone. That combined with the slightly narrower form factor as well, making it easier to hold in the hand, I think I'd have to go with the Galaxy S10 Plus over the iPhone XS Max for design. But as stated, build quality both brilliant, and you will have your own personal preferences and may prefer the look and feel of the iPhone. IP68 water and dust resistant on both. In terms of colours, we have prism green, white and black, or we have ceramic white and ceramic black as well if you go for the bigger, more expensive storage options. Whereas on the iPhone XS Max we either have space grey, silver or gold. In terms of displays, we have Quad HD for both, but we have a 6.4-inch dynamic AMOLED display on the Samsung, and we have a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display on the iPhone. HDR10 Plus on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. That's a mouthful, which the iPhone doesn't have, but of course we have 3D Touch available on the iPhone, which you don't get with the Samsung. Again, personal preference. Right, so let's talk internals. We have on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus either the Snapdragon 855 from Qualcomm or the Exynos 9820 from Samsung, the in-house SoC. It will depend on the region you're in as to which one you're going to get, versus the Apple A12 Bionic chip. All of them are brilliant and you're not going to be disappointed with any, but if we want to go benchmarks, this might just surprise you. So starting with Geekbench 4, we have on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and I have to add this is the Exynos 9820 version because I'm in Europe, possibly for a little bit longer. Brexit. Who knows? Single core score of 4,261 and a multi-core score of 8,594. If we compare that to the scores on the iPhone, we have here 4,817 single core and 11,446 on the multi-core score, which is significantly better than on the Galaxy S10 Plus. I also ran an Antutu benchmark test on both, and on the Galaxy S10 Plus we have 326,350, and on the iPhone XS Max we have 356,383. So again, the benchmarks on the iPhone are higher. While I must stress that benchmarks don't mean everything when we're talking about everyday raw performance, it is truly impressive that last year's iPhone has beaten this year's Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Again, I must clarify, Exynos version. The Snapdragon variant will differ. How much so, I'm not too sure without actually running the benchmark myself. On the flip side, I have found that even though those results are so high, the 4GB of RAM on the iPhone XS Max means that the management of apps and multitasking, etc., I have found it to be not quite as good as the S10 Plus. 8GB of RAM, a minimum on that. Again, numbers don't mean everything, and they don't tell the whole story when, of course, they run completely different operating systems. But I have found when multitasking, going in and out of different apps, the iPhone tends to force close far more apps than the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and you have to do everything all over again. Whether that is just an issue with iOS or whether that's an issue with the amount of RAM, I'm not too sure, but certainly something Apple could improve in the future. Speaking of operating systems, or OS, what a lovely segue into our next part, which is of course the operating system, or OS. Android 9 Pie with Samsung's One UI skin over the top on the Galaxy S10 Plus, or iOS 12 on the iPhone XS Max. Now this is the age-old question, Android or iOS? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Who's got a better YouTube channel, me or PewDiePie? Obviously PewDiePie, but again, everyone will have their own opinions. You may prefer the customization, freedom and features of Android, or you might prefer the fluidity and simplicity of iOS. And of course, that mystic beast, the ecosystem. Now for me, I am fortunate enough to be able to use both, and therefore I do see the benefits and limitations to both systems as well. Now we're going to talk storage, and both of them have decent options. iPhone XS Max cheapest edition starts at 64 gigabytes of storage and goes up to 512 gigabytes of storage with the most expensive, whereas with the S10 Plus Max? No, that's not a phone. Imagine that. How big would that phone be? The Galaxy S10 Plus starts at 128 gigabytes and goes up to 1 terabyte, and you have the option of expandable storage with a micro SD card slot, which you don't have again with the iPhone. So in terms of storage, you have to go with the Galaxy S10 Plus. Now let's talk camera. On the S10 Plus, we have a 3-camera lens setup. We have a 12 megapixel primary camera sensor with f1.5 aperture to f2.4, which means it is dual aperture, so it can change depending on how bright it is outside. If you are shooting in low light, it can open up to allow more light in, so again, you should be able to get better photos as a result. We also have a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with f2.4 aperture to allow you for better zoom photos. And then we have this year's new addition, the 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with f2.2 aperture. So overall, very similar to what we saw last year with the S9 Plus and the Note 9, but of course we do have that ultra wide lens as well this year. On the iPhone, we have a dual camera setup. We have two 12 megapixel sensors, one with f1.8 aperture and the other with f2.4. As you would expect, you do get very good photos with both. I will have a full camera comparison video between the two and the Google Pixel 3 XL and probably maybe the OnePlus 6T as well, just to give you a rough idea of kind of what's available on the market. So if you want to see that, drop a like on the video to let me know. In terms of video recording, we have maximum of 4K at 60 frames a second on both, but again with the Samsung you do get HDR10+. Now we flip to the front cameras and we have a dual camera setup on the S10 Plus. The primary is 10 megapixels with f1.9 aperture, and the secondary sensor is a depth lens with f2.2 aperture. The iPhone has one lens and it is 7 megapixels with f2.2 aperture. And in terms of video, this is where the Galaxy S10 Plus jumps ahead. We have 4K recording on that front camera, whereas on the iPhone it maxes out at 1080p. Again, for more in-depth testing and samples, make sure you check out the camera comparison video. Now we're going to talk battery, and this is a difficult one again because they are using completely different operating systems. So what may seem the better battery in 4100 mAh capacity on the Galaxy S10 Plus to the 3175 mAh on the iPhone isn't quite as cut and dry. Obviously I can do a full battery test comparison if you want to see that, but all I can say is both kind of get me just about through the day, and obviously it will completely depend on how you specifically use it, what apps you use, whether you game on it, whether you video stream on it, for example. I would say that I feel the Galaxy S10 Plus has performed slightly better than the iPhone. There's not a lot in it, but it does tend to last a little bit longer. Now very briefly before we jump onto price, we have privacy and unlocking features. Now we have the brand new Qualcomm Ultrasonic 3D on the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, which in my experience hasn't been quite as good as the majority of people. It's getting a lot of good reviews. I have found it to be slightly slower than a standard fingerprint sensor. Don't really necessarily see the benefit of the in-display one over perhaps one on the back, but it still works very effectively and it is very secure. What is not secure is the face unlock, which can be unlocked using a photo, has been proven, but then I don't know why everyone's going up in arms about it. If you have a 2D face unlocking setup, that is possible. Been able to be done on many different devices. I don't know why we're now suddenly talking about it like it's the worst thing ever. Unless you have a 3D setup, it's inevitable. And that is what we do have on the iPhone XS Max. We have a 3D facial recognition setup, so that is far more secure and it is very, very quick. We don't have a fingerprint sensor though, and therefore it depends on what you prefer. If you prefer a fingerprint sensor, go with the S10 Plus. But if you only use face unlocking and think you're going to get it as good as the iPhone with the Galaxy S10 Plus, you're not. Fast wired charging on both, although one doesn't come with the phone, you have to buy extra. Come on, Tim. Come on, Tim. Timothy Cook. Just pop it in the box, mate. Come on. Come on. When did fast charging actually get invented? People will say they're trying to protect the battery and stuff. Come on. Come on, let's be real. And you have wireless charging on both, but you also have reverse wireless charging on the Galaxy S10 Plus, which means you can charge another device that charges wirelessly. So I could charge the iPhone using the Galaxy S10 Plus and your Galaxy earbuds if you buy them or got them free with the actual device, because they charge wirelessly as well. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it is a feature and it's something that the iPhone doesn't have. So again, you might think that's a good thing. Now, of course, we have to talk price, and both phones vary quite drastically depending on which version, amount of storage, etc. you choose. But the Galaxy S10 Plus starts at only compared to the iPhone XS Max only. It's still quite expensive. £899 it starts at, whereas the iPhone XS Max starts at $1,099. And that, ladies and gents, is that. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these two phones. Do you prefer the Galaxy S10 Plus or the iPhone XS Max? Are you Android or are you iOS? Are you considering switching for whatever reason? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to, as always, hear your thoughts. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful and want to see more similar sort of videos. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so that if you do want to see those videos, you are notified every time I post. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.